Welcome back, everybody. Today we're discussing Raised by Wolves, Season 2, Episode 7, titled Feeding. The theme of the episode was definitely reflected by that title. Mermommy fed Tempest's baby, Snake Daddy fed on the Sioux Soul Tree, and Marcus and Paul fed the masses a fabled fruit that probably was not good for them to consume. But more on that later. The episode begins with Paul slowly dragging the Sioux fruit to the atheist colony. His face shows an unwillingness to feed this thing that is essentially his mom to these other people. But his pendant reminds us that there is a battle waging inside of him. His religion demands faith. And with that, you can ask anyone to do any number of things that hide the logical fallacy of that thing behind simply having faith. The dichotomy of his choice is simply highlighted best when he sees Campion, going to eat one of these fruits and almost runs back to stop him. When he sees Campion put it down, he feels assured that his friend will now be safe. But this really best underlines the issue. He's terrified at this point that he might not be doing the right thing. And when he sees Marcus again, they immediately vocalize this disdain for Soul or, believing that maybe they weren't making the right choice. Marcus expresses ultimately having little faith in what they're currently doing now that they have both lost Sue to this thing that they once believed in. And now they're just hoping that they didn't believe in something for no reason. It obviously was not enough doubt to risk the lives of all of these people, which at first felt really odd to me. But remember, only a few episodes ago, Paul reminded us that atheists aren't people in the eyes of Soul. So maybe he's still trying to convince himself of that. And, well, they believe that the fruit will show the non-believers the truth. And it really doesn't seem like that's the case. Ultimately, I'm not really sure what this fruit is going to do. But after the snake deep throats the Sioux tree, to me, it really just seems like they misunderstood the scripture. And the fruit was really for the snake. But I'm curious if it will have any effect at all. It feels like the fruit being in their system could trigger the snake to come after them. Like it needs to consume all of the tree, so it now must track down the remaining fruit in each of them. Which would give us some really good drama, knowing that one of Mother's human children ate the fruit, and she will now need to, pick one or the other and actually need to defend her biological human child. It feels like something must happen with the fruit. Otherwise, the shoe was thrown into the air about the tension of them eating it, and nothing ever landed. Having the snake go after those that ate the fruit would, I think, make the most sense with the theory about people being disposed of after each planet cycle, like whether it was a virus or snakes or mer people, all viable options to get rid of humanity after they have served their purpose. But ultimately, only time will tell. Father and the other children go to the Acid Sea and start trying to track down Mermommy. They try to track down the baby thief with a makeshift submarine covered in the mer people's skin and lose contact seconds into the journey. Jason Voorhees here takes the drone out and tells Campion what happened to her, while the others arrive and tell Campion that Vril is really a monster and did what she did to the rest of the Mithraic. She describes her actions as delayed self-defense, which I don't know. It just feels weird. Like this could be a malfunction, but it really still feels like Soul was maybe affecting her programming while she was, ultimately down and out. Like she was done at this point and just came back. She was done so much so that like we thought she would come back, but the people in the show said, disregard her. She's obviously not a threat anymore, and just left her to, exist there and die there in that ditch, right? It doesn't feel like it fits the rest of the show about what we know about androids, and it could very well just be a malfunction, but my vote is always going to be for the coolest of all the viable options, so my vote is for Soul's intervention in some kind of interface between the machine and Soul. But again, it could just be a malfunction. We still don't know why Soul would kill off the church, but if it was a malfunction, it means that the entire situation was literally just them being stupid and getting themselves killed because they couldn't be nice to robots, which maybe that's worth noting. At this point in the story, Mithraic don't like robots. I don't know who needs to know that anymore. No, I'm moving on. Vril tries to earn her spot in the family by letting them know where Tempest's baby was taken, and she leads them that way to unfortunately find nothing yet. Mother returns to see the danger noodle losing its mind, breaking out, eating the Susu no Mai devil fruit, while Paul and Marcus hear the old gal talking over the dead radio, showing us again this link between technology and biology, but more importantly, showing us that she has some degree of consciousness and understanding of what is happening in her current state. To me, this felt like it was her directly interfacing with Soul in some kind of form. Like she was able to see more of his master plan, and that is when she asked to be burned because she knew what was coming. But before Marcus can do so, of course, the most popular snake at the gay club eats the tree and then weaponizes itself. To be honest, this episode kind of tilted me a little bit. It really felt like everybody just instantly knew what the weaponized version of this thing would look like. Like, of course it's attacking people. Of course it's using what it has as weapons, right? But nobody ever said, oh, it has tentacles and it controls the lightning. I guess it's the weather snake now, right? Like there was never any confusion or delay. Everybody just knew that this was the weaponized version of this thing.
The serpent has become weaponized.
Weaponized somehow.
The serpent has been weaponized somehow.
I know. A tree to weaponize a serpent.
I don't know why that felt so odd to me. Maybe if beforehand that word was ever used before, like in relation to what could happen, I would understand. But the second it transforms, the world is just, they just know. They're like, oh, that's the weaponized version of the flying danger noodle. And nobody is confused. I don't know. I feel like I'm not explaining this well. I'm not able to identify why exactly this feels weird to me, but it does. Now, at this point, Mother tries to take it down before it does anything wrong. Like, honestly, it just exists. It just becomes a more scarier, perceptive version of itself and flies into the air. And Mother, it's like Han shot first. Like she attacks first, but then sucks the screen back in, and then that's when old boy here decides to let her have it. So I'm not really sure. It feels like it could be an emotional response, and I think that also builds on the idea later when they talk about the emotions of jealousy with the snake as well. Vril and Campion have some really good conversations throughout this episode that really show Vril has been conditioned to believe that she is only valuable if she is useful, and Campion does everything he can to prove otherwise, outright saying that even if she could do nothing and offer nothing, he would still want her to be around. It's sweet. It's really sweet, and important for us to acknowledge that in ourselves as well. We are still worthy of love if we do not provide a service, even if we get in our heads and feel useless for not meeting the expectations of the day. We still have value. Progress is not a linear thing, and keeping that good mental state is often much more important than breaking our bodies to hit deadlines that prove to other people that we have value. I love that sentiment and was very hopeful that Campion and Vril were going to be a thing at some point, but then she dies. And I really don't know how I feel about that. Part of me kind of feels like her character had no purpose aside from letting us know that Campion, views both android and humanity as equal, which is important, but also maybe we already learned that. But I don't know. Maybe there's more to come, and I have some theories about that later on. Now, Marcus and Paul are taking care of Mother. That really, honestly, I liked how that progressed with the story here. We have a bigger bad. The conflict between them can now mean much less. They can team up in order to save the world. Love, 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 love. During the ride back to base, Mother reveals that the snake was number 7 and that they must rely on Grandmother to change her programming to allow her to kill her child. This reveal that the snake was Mother's child was also delivered multiple times this episode, and maybe that's why I have an issue with the weaponized line as well. It felt like the writers needed everybody to be on the same page for this final part of season 2, this finale of season 2. So it just suddenly, everyone learns this big looming secret. They're like, okay, it's weaponized and it's Mother's thing, and let's go. Everybody knows there's no drama about it being revealed anymore. And it's not even like there's that much drama, right? It wasn't like a big oh my God, let's, figure it out. Nobody knew. Nobody had any kind of speculation about it. It just, now everything is out in the open and we can move on from there. And I think that maybe that's worth examining if that's good writing or not. Hunter uses his masterful way with words to keep Vril calm, and of course, she runs off believing that she is going to be shut down. Campion runs after her, almost gets killed by the snake, and we have the scene in the forest where she breaks her spine and frantically starts writing down the history of her master before she passes. Incredibly tragic final moments, but such is life for androids right now, and hey, maybe this will further show Campion how inferior their society viewed them and how this again needs to be changed if we are to advance as a species, equality for all. The Serpent going after the tank really felt odd to me. Like, I don't know if it's clear yet what his goal is. Part of me thinks it's targeting technology. Part of me thinks it could be someone in that tank ate one of the Sioux fruits and it's just trying to collect that to further power up. But it also exploded the people inside. I think that's what that scene was trying to tell us. So I'm not sure what the motivation could be here, other than just being aggravated at humanity or being aggravated at anything that was moving. At some point it said that the snake was targeting Campion, and then Mother tells Grandmother that she thinks it could be acting out of jealousy, which I'm just confused about. Like, how? Is this tiny look a few episodes ago really enough for us to understand that this thing is acting out and not in accordance to its own programming that we still know nothing about? It just feels really odd. This entire episode honestly just felt rushed, and I hate to constantly rip apart little things, but the pacing of this second season, I've talked about a few times now, it just feels like this is the issue. This is why episodes need to be properly paced, is because all of this information is just rushed, being thrown at us with such, defined accuracy. It's just flying out of us as matter of facts, as instead of like speculation about the wonder of the world. Now that we're almost out of episodes, it's like boom, boom, boom. We need to be all on the same page, and let's get there finally. And yeah, again, I'm going to move on. They discuss removing and placing the veil. And this dialogue made me believe that once the veil is gone, father and grandmother are 10 billion% going to fall in love with each other. I hope. That's what I'm rooting for. My boy here, he needs a W. Let's get it. On the other side of that, this makes me think that Mother will become an emotionless god that she's always wanted to be. And then we just have to hope that she does not find a rational reason to kill them both. Pure rationality is also a very double-edged sword. Like, the reason humanity could be being played with in this entire cycle is, like I talked about in the very first breakdown of season 2, is this barbaric cycle, right? Like, we cannot change and we'll always attack each other and factionize and go after each other no matter what happens. So in order to survive, we must be pruned and sent from planet to planet. Rationally, it is for our own good. It is for us to survive. And Mother, acting only for the rational survival of humanity, I think could 100% come to the conclusion that she needs to be the person that saves humanity from itself. So having Mother being this emotional being might make her more susceptible to Soul convincing her that his way is maybe the most logical thing that can be done. And maybe season 3 will just be her enforcing his will and the group trying to then remove the veil before she does too much damage. But I guess only time will tell. During this conversation, she also offers some additional insight into the previous cycle, which I am very glad to learn. We learn that the technocrats fought against the believers in the Great War, a perfect symmetry to our current cycle, with the androids then being called shepherds, sent here for the insurance of humanity as a whole. Now, before we keep going, I want to address that little bomb that Mother just learned. She just learns that there is an identical looping story that happened centuries ago that her version of humanity had no idea about. So perfect that she can ask Grandmother advice on the current threat that they are facing and have perfect information to fight it with. How in the world was there never a moment in this where one of them had a logical loop that made them contemplate the insane chances of these things happening in the exact same way. Like, did grandmother not go? Well, damn. We tried X, Y, and Z. That didn't work. Maybe do this instead. You know, like, I get it, bigger fish to fry, the heat of the moment, but this feels like a bombshell, history repeating information moment that should have let the audience know outright, holy shit, this is literally a mastermind pulling the strings. Whoever sent humanity back to Earth managed to kill the entire atheist society and then send Adam and Eve bots back to Earth to start it all again for a reason that we still don't understand. I feel like it's so obvious to us because we analyze the show like we do, but I don't know if it's that obvious to the casual watcher. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe because this scene was written specifically for robots, that emotion isn't the point, right? But it felt like a grand reveal that maybe they should have included Marcus, right? So that a human could have witnessed this information transferal and been like, wait, hold on. We might be playing into this thing's hand right now. What's really going on here, you know? But that doesn't happen, so I don't know. Some interesting choices, I'll just say that. Grandmother states that the snake is trying to destroy the planet, which maybe? I mean, we have no reason to doubt her, but I'm not sure if that makes sense. It could. Mother asks why this was happening, and grandmother says the humans have spent years trying to figure it out, but were limited by their own rationality, which, okay, this reveal better be fire. Whatever the purpose is, better be beyond belief. So, good luck, showrunners. Back with father, they finally confront Mermommy about the baby, Tempest deciding to let her keep it, but Hunter choosing otherwise. He kills the creature, retrieves the child, only to be standing there unsure about what comes next. It's a really interesting scenario, but I'm hoping that father will step in and help raise the child. I just think that's in his, programming. But also I'm hoping that he will make sure Hunter is the primary caregiver. That's the only thing that really feels right to me in this situation. Hopefully he learns quickly that his actions have consequences. The very last thing I want to speculate is the Susu no Mai devil fruit. In relation to the other androids, I really, really have to wonder if mother or father were to eat these fruits, if anything would happen. If they could also be weaponized in some mythical way that their creators, didn't know would happen. After all, this tech is from the ancient scriptures, and that leaves us with this possibility of some really cool twists with our original mother and father. Maybe the snake targeting technology would make sense because they are literally the only threats to it. Humans can't do anything without the technology. And of course, the last frame shows the snake flying into the scene, assumingly to target Campion, because that's what we've been told. But Vril is also with him, and her final warning message expresses this radiation decay. In science fiction, that either means that this is going to be a positive or a negative, right? Maybe they'll be able to use that dead robot as a bomb, or the snake may just eat it knowingly and consume the native power inside of it. Because it's again science fiction, and radiation could be good or bad. I think I would prefer the former because it would make Vril's life not completely void of meaning, but only time will tell. With that, we come to the end of the episode. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support this channel and keep us growing toward 100 million subscribers. I'm nowhere near that, but your interaction would help nevertheless. If you'd like to support this content with your real life monies, be sure to check out Patreon, like our top tier donor, Michael Linck. Much love, everybody, and I cannot wait to talk to you all again soon.